Hello, green bars, my old friend. Hey, everybody. We're doing another quick video today. We're talking about image creation for your tabletop RPGs. For example, in my Monday game earlier this week, I needed a demonic symbol emblazoned into the chest of a cactus man. Good luck finding that on Google. So, AI image generation here to save the day. Now, this is not going to be a conversation about the ethics or the materiality or, any of the other really sort of interesting aspects that come into this. Some of this material may have been trained without the consent of the authors. And certainly some of what I'm going to show you today is probably without the consent of the authors. However, I feel like once you're given piece of material to use, you're somewhat free to use it, especially to remix it as needed for your table. And we're not talking about commercial enterprises today, right? There's sort of a different standard for putting something up for sale than there is for use in your own home game, right? So we're going to leave all of that sort of discussion aside for now, and we're going to focus on the good stuff. All right, so just right off the top, let me show you some old school stuff. A couple of my favorite tools to strip images out of PDFs because it's much easier to throw a image up on the screen, say for your VTT or your technology enabled local game session. I've got that one downstairs with the TV table. It's much easier to toss an image up on the screen without having to show a page from the book, right? Also, you can then take these images and crop them into little POG tokens. You can use AI to remix them, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. But it's helpful to have a source of images from somewhere, and where better than the books that you've already bought, right? Or licensed, or however you know. But you've got the books. Let's get some images out of them. So we need a couple pieces of software to do this. First is this little tool called PDF Images. And as you can see from the synopsis here, it's really stupid simple. Run the command, give it the PDF file, and where you want it to dump out the images. It will then dump out every single image. So here you have a little PowerShell script that I wrote. We're using the file names in order to name the images, so I at least know where it came from. And here in my tool scripts, PDF images list, original file, folder name. This dumps the files out. Now, you will get them in sort of a raw data format almost every time because it's the way they're stored in the PDF. So the next section is how do I convert this raw image data into, say, a PNG file, which is going to be much smaller, much more portable, much more useful to me. And the tool we're using for that is Mogrify. And you see here again from this script loop, it's just doing the exact same thing, but it's doing it then for the Mogrify command, not the PDF images command. And it's doing it against each image, and then it's removing the old junk. So we can find Mogrify. Oh, hey, there's your free ad, Image Magic, from our friends over here at Image Magic, spelled with a C and a K, because why not? But yeah, Mogrify, it's just simply a way to do image magic things to images in bulk, right? So it's a utility. Image Magic is a utility or a set of them, and Mogrify is just sort of a packaged version of that. It's the easiest way to explain it. And you see, again, I'm doing Mogrify minus format, PNG, true name. And so what this then winds up with is a folder that I did have open just a second ago. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there we go. These are the Savage Riffs images from the books. And I've done some sorting with these folders, but you see if it comes out here, it pulls the image. We get the book it came from, Ghost Roads, Venture Module, and the number of image that it came from. And that's all, of course, configurable in the script. You can write your own. If you need mine, let me know. I can send it to you. Hit me up on the Discord. Otherwise, yeah, it's not exactly rocket science. So these all came from the GM screen. You see they're labeled that way there. Now you will get a bunch of junk in here as well. There will be things for trade dress. There will be things for, like, I have all this trade dress in this folder. Little blood smears, little framing pieces. Here's a crumpled up piece of paper image, which my face is kind of blocking, but you get the point. I usually delete almost all of this. Some of these things I thought, well, that might be useful, but otherwise we get rid of them. And you'll get sometimes huge images like these covers for all of these PDFs are just solid images. I don't know if they're useful, but I thought I'd keep them. But you can get some maps too, right? It'll pull all the maps out of your books into individual images, which, if you're putting content into a VTT, that's half the battle right there. And this is the best version available in most cases, right? Because these PDFs are never small. So the image quality here is pretty good. So anyway, that's how I create a collection of images. You see most of these are on a transparent background, and that's because they want the page material to show through, just to keep with the style and the trade dress of the book. Some of them are not. Some of them will come in with backgrounds, and you just what do you want for free, right? You just make do with what you've got, but you wind up with this really wonderful library of images for your use. And again, this came from PDFs that you have gotten the appropriate legal permission to use. This is just another way to use them, in my opinion. So moving right along, we're talking about AI image generation today. In my opinion, well, let's talk prerequisites first. You need an NVIDIA graphics card to do this well. You just do. And this is because of a module called CUDA, C-U-D-A, which is created and maintained by the fine folks at NVIDIA and other volunteers. It is possible to use CUDA with other graphics cards. However, NVIDIA would very much like that you didn't, and they do some anti-competitive things on occasion. So NVIDIA will work best. And, if you have access to one, that's the way to go. Also, some of the applications that I'm going to discuss today are pretty RAM heavy, and we're talking VRAM, video RAM. My laptop, though, will switch over into its own RAM if it runs out, and that just means it runs dog slow, but it does still work. So there's that. But if you can get 12 gigs or more, great. You'll be able to build and train your own models, and we'll talk about different types of models and what they do in just a minute too. So that'd be ideal. I have 8 gigs in this laptop, which is good. That's like a gaming class laptop, but it's not so great for model training. So it's a pretty tall order on this guy. You might do better using a third-party service, pay as you go, maybe a subscription to any number of the online services. You may do better that way. In this example I'm going to show you, you're going to have probably quite a bit more control over what you're able to do because you're doing it all at home, so to speak. You're downloading the models and the components, and not necessarily beholden to somebody else and their method. So this is called Comfy UI. Comfy UI, it says the most powerful and modular diffusion model, GUI, and backend. What it does is it puts into your browser a workflow, and you can connect those pieces of the workflow with these little strings. If we open up this image, zoom in on it a little bit, you can see we can connect this purple line to this purple node, kind of goes behind there, or this yellow line to this yellow node, and that's basically all there is that you need to know. Of course, you need to know what they do, but beyond that, connect, try it, see what happens, right? It's beautiful for iterative processes, and super easy to install. If you go to Comfy UI's GitHub page, under the installing section, they've got some specific instructions, but they also have this direct link to download. There's a standalone version that comes with its own Python environment, so you don't even have to manage that, that you just unzip and run on your laptop or your computer with an NVIDIA graphics card in it. So if you have those requirements, you want to try it out, right there. It's your direct download for Windows. Now, if you don't, let's say you're on Linux and you have an AMD GPU and you want to go down that road, or if you're on a Mac, right, there's Mac solutions, your mileage may vary. Hopefully you have some Python skills or enjoy futzing with that stuff. But if you're on Windows, video card, you can grab standalone. All right, let me show you what it looks like. This is real similar to the image that was shown before. Beautiful scenery, nature glass bottle landscape, purple galaxy bottle. So sort of take you left to right really fast here. This one is load checkpoint. This lets you load the model that you want to use. You see I have several loaded here. So we Stable Diffusion 1.5, 2.1, 3, XL, a couple different versions of XL. This Leo Sam AI art is really good for what we're doing in terms of RPG art, but Reddit is a great place. What is the best model for, and you'll find some advice. We take in our positive prompt, what we do want to see, our negative prompt, what we don't want to see is we don't want text in this image, we don't want a watermark in this image, and we hit go, right? This is an empty image. This tells us our overall image size. This one's going to generate at 512 by 512. A lot of things in the upper end of the space are doing 1024, so that's something to watch for. But this will randomly build us a file, create an image out of the samples and the VAE, which is just sort of a step in the chain, right? And then spit it out. I've got some examples already cooked. This one is a workflow that will show you what different parts of an image generation process can do. Now, my image generation process, I'm going to show you in just a minute, is it's called Paperdoll. I just named it that. And I'll show you why. So this guy's image in the middle here is strange, and that's on purpose. But really quickly, these are all given the same prompt, the same seed, and they're using the same basic model. This one on the left is the output of just the model by itself with that prompt. This one is the output of an IP filter, where I have given it an image with a specific person's face and holding a specific weapon. That's slightly different than the images that are otherwise there. And again, you'll see why in a second. The next one here is image to image. So I'm feeding it from the Riffs book, this image over here. And remember, I showed you how I got those, instead of a blank image, and giving it the same prompt. So see it sort of zooms him out. You can see his feet because you could see his feet in the image that was fed to it earlier. This one is a depth map control net. Control nets very strictly govern the type of image that can be produced. And that control map came from, or the depth map rather, came from that image from the book. So it's postured him in exactly the same way. And this last one is a custom LoRa, LoRa being a fine-tuning or detailing type model that constrains the base model, all the way over there on the left, to a set of trained images. In this case, I took all of the civilian-looking graphics from the Riffs books that I had grabbed earlier and created my own LoRa model to tweak the output closer to what's in the books. You can see it's pretty highly effective in terms of, it's zoomed out just a little bit more. The person looks a bit more ragtag and a little less organized military with some of the unmatched equipment and stuff. But that's basically what these pieces do. There are a few more pieces as well, but just again, left to right, we've got our base model. This is the one that I recommend, the Leo Sam AI, because it's already sort of in the right ballpark. I've dealt with models that are more Call of Duty looking when you give it prompt for soldier, more maybe 3D computer generated graphics, and it works, right? You're getting your idea across, but it's not necessarily as thematic as if you can keep a smooth thing. The IP filter tries to keep an image close to another image that you gave it. The image to image, instead of a blank canvas, uses the graphic that you've already provided for input. It's kind of like an IP filter, but nowhere near as strict. The depth map very, very strictly looks at the pose and whatnot of the character. And there's actually pose models where you can like change the pose of a character. I haven't dug too deeply into that yet, but just rabbit holes after rabbit holes after rabbit holes that you can do. But so this is just sort of something I did for my own education because I was building workflow and I wasn't quite sure what all the pieces were doing. And so here I have, they all come out. And if you just want to see how this works, right, this is the spaghetti mess. But in general, everybody's sharing the same seed, everybody's sharing the same model, everybody's sharing the same text inputs, positive and negative. We've got our IP filter image, we've got our base image, and then it's just right to left, right? So this is a workflow, this is a workflow, and I've pulled all the images down for comparison. Okay, let's talk about Paperdoll. So, as mentioned with Paperdoll, I pulled the background piece out because I didn't like the way it was feathered in. But the idea is I can take a background, I can take an image of somebody carrying a gun, and that image that I have right now did not work. So let me go and grab one that I know will, or at least should. Part of the issue that I've not resolved yet is the direction they are facing. Also is where the weapon is held. So I'm looking for somebody with a gun pointed to the left side of the screen at their midriff. I know that will work well. The image that I built this with should be coming up here in just a second. Trying to find the guy. I thought I had this ready. Apologies. You know, sometimes you queue something like this up and it's not quite going to plan, but we're not really at a Bill Gates level yet. So, all right, we'll use this one. So we want this guy's gun. We need a face for the model. You may recognize our MCDM friend, Matt Coville. A basis for the model. We're going to use this other sort of military guy. He's not wearing a helmet. We're going to replace his face. We're going to use his depth map. So let's cue this up again. All right, so as you can see, when it runs, it sort of highlights in green what it's doing. And some of this is pretty fast because it won't repeat work that it's already done. It'll just reuse it from cache. So this one is an interesting example. It's looking for this weapon. It's using this sword and hilt prompt that I put in here to do that. And it still kind of figured out what I meant. So it's going to grab this part of the image. You see it's cropped it over here. Here we're doing Mr. Colville's face. I grabbed this from one of his YouTube videos. And we're also finding the head on the model that I fed it for the basis, and we're replacing. So this one, you see, he's standing here. He's got almost no gun, but we've got Matt Coville's face pasted in there. And here we've got this spiky dragon gun, and these are roughly in the same places, right? Anyway, we are stitching all of this together. It's here in this K-sampler mode now. See, it's all outlined in green. And we're then running it through a face detailer to clean that part up just a little bit. And there we go. So this is our first output before the face detailer. See, it was a spiky gun. So we've got some sort of weird anomalies. And some of this is just the input that I gave it, right? Here's another one where I was trying to do that blue sword, and it just can't get away from the idea that it's a gun. So again, that's the source images, and some of this process is spitting out what you feed it. But we see we have this sort of mop top guy with glasses in both of these images, and that's thanks to the IP filter. So there we go. That's the face detailer. It didn't do too much in this case. You see the nostrils aren't quite as flared. The lips aren't quite as crazy. But yeah, that's Comfy UI. So I started with this image, and I said, give me something similar to this, but with that head and that gun. And it did. And you see the details, not terrible, right? We have one too many fingers on this hand, or he's doing something weird with his thumb, one or the other. This weapon is kind of out there, but maybe this is an anti-vampire attachment or something. It could be explainable, right? In fact, these could be wooden stakes if we wanted to go there. This is Riffs after all. So yeah, that's Comfy UI. And this is just built out of stringing these things together one piece at a time. And it can be as simple as this. So that's it. To recap, PDF images fed to Mogrify can get you a nice group of images. Comfy UI has a standalone downloader, and you can start stringing these things together. Now, on these workflows, if I were to share with you this image that was created by this workflow, you could drag and drop that image into Comfy UI, and it would give you the workflow that was used. Otherwise, they're exportable as JSON files, and you can find those all over the internet as well. So if you're looking for how do I do this face detailer, right? You can go and get somebody else's workflow that demonstrates how a face detailer works, sort of tear it apart. You can copy paste the individual sections, so you can like hold control to multi-select the boxes and copy and paste. You can, if you've got multi-selected held, you can hold shift. If you're exploring these, you can double tap and it will bring up the ability to search nodes. If you bring in a workflow that has pieces that you don't have installed, the Comfy UI Manager module will tell you what those are, will help you install them. It's relatively straightforward. And I don't want to get too deep into what we're doing with Comfy UI, but this is sort of what's possible in this realm. And again, this is all on my laptop, done pretty much in real time. I changed that gun in real time, at least, right? So you can kind of do it in seconds, especially if you're playing, with the technology assisted play. You can throw something together pretty fast with a set of tools like this and have an image ready to show your players in just a few minutes. Hopefully you ad lib the conversation, or you do this while they are having a conversation amongst themselves, to sort of speed things along. But yeah, that's just kind of a preview of where we are in the modern world today. As always, comments, questions, concerns, what have you, feel free to join the Discord. Link is right there. It is working. We've had a couple people pop in. You always find me there, as well as several other smart folks that are willing to kick in and lend a hand. If you are enjoying the game you play, keep playing it. I'm getting ready to kick off another series where we're going to talk about some different game options. And so look forward to that. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Thank you guys very much.